So for this assignment, I went with the Featherstone house, which is the same house I did in assignment 2. So this was the material board created from this interior. The materials used there are the clay brick, the 2 upholsteries, wood, some quartz stone and acoustic floors. And then the changes that I made were with the upholstery and the stone and the flooring. So with the 2 upholstery, I went with twin wool upholstery and the 100% recycled upholstery. The floors, the timber terrazzo, and then for the stone, I went with this natural stone that's made out of oyster shells and marble as well. So these are the 4 material the life cycle analysis that I did for both. So terrazzo, the recycled upholstery, twin wool, and this natural stone. So for this twin wool, their life cycle is, so their material is collected from washed up plastics found on beaches, and it's made out of so 30% of the bionic yarn, which is this innovative yarn, and then the 70% is virgin wool. So it's manufactured by going through a process to make this innovative wool, which is bionic yarn. And then the packaging, so they're delivered to Australia, directly to Australia. But they do have partnering companies here in Australia as well, so we can order it, which is great. But they use freight to minimise transport footprints when transporting products. So the use of it is obviously upholstery and curtain use as well. So for both interior and commercial spaces. And then for the end of life, they don't really have any plans for the end of life use of this product. They don't have a return policy where they can reuse the fabrics at all. So it was just once it's used, I guess, in the landfill, it ends up in. And then, so I decided to go with twin wool. So for the reason for this is because of the things that I mentioned. So it doesn't have a return policy, it uses energy and water as well. So in creating this twin wool, it's used out of PET recycled plastics, which is essentially plastic bottles and containers. In creating this fibre that goes into making twin wool, it essentially, so to make a t-shirt, from perspective, to make a t-shirt, it takes 5 plastic bottles. So to make enough fabric for upholstery, I'm sure it takes a bit more than that. So the textile industry at the moment consumes about 215 trillion litres of water per year, which is not great. So for this experiment 1, I decided to do using returned twin wool. So in creating a reverse logistic for this material. So the main goal is to regain value for these products by implementing strategies. First, an incentive for both parties should be implemented. So for the client, it'd be great if they got free shipment, return upholstery, free shipment, and then a discount as well would be good for them to ensure that they're returning the upholstery. And then for the company, the blog, I can't really say the name. So return worldwide are worth almost $1 trillion annually. So there's money definitely there within returns. So implement efforts into reuse of upholstery will create a new upholstery line. So there's a new line there as well that they can, that's a benefit for them as well. And as this a low competitive market at the moment with reused materials, so there won't be much competition there, so their pricings could be whatever they like. So also using reverse logistics will also build customer loyalty as repeat business is increased, especially if there's a discount. So, so once the product is returned, I guess the way some of the things they could do is inspect it and determine its return category. So categorizing level of cleaning, repairs need to be made, and then once the product has been cleaned or repaired, using the product for new upholstery, and the items that can't be reused, they can find strategies of recycling them best they can. So with the return logistics, it starts and ends with end consumer. So it goes to shipping, and then it then it gets returned, and then it moves to being either recycled or refurbished or resaled, and then it goes back to the consumer. So you're making a cycle out of it. And then the next thing is reducing energy consumption. So even though creating this polyester fibers requires less energy, it's still requiring a lot of energy, and the company doesn't really have any reusable or energy efficient technology really. So making textiles out of recycled plastic bottles requires 59 less energy to produce. However, it still needs more energy than hemp, wool and cotton materials. Although this textile seems to have low produce of energy, the factories that produce are being processed are still producing high amounts of energy consumptions. So the textile industry is one of the major industries that uses high energy consumption with the lowest efficiency in energy utilization. So 34% of that goes toward of the energy consumed goes towards spinning of the fibers. 23 is weaving. 38 is from chemical processes, and 5 is from miscellaneous sources. So with 38% chemical processing, that's the highest one. So what's required in chemical processing is thermal energy, which cools down water and is the drying of the water. So the consumption of water can be reduced, and it will in turn save the consumption of energy. So a solution to implement is to have closed off water system that constantly recycles and reuses the same water. So this will be a great installment to combat the water usage. The next thing they could do is implement some renewable energy sources such as solar energy that can be utilised in heating water with solar water heaters that reduce thermal energy. The 100% renewable so 100% renewable energy doesn't necessarily equal 100% carbon neutral either. So as renewable energy also has a small amount of carbon emissions. So I guess everything has carbon emissions that come from it. So the solution to combat the carbon emissions created, the company should offset the emissions by purchasing carbon offset certifications that absorb produce of CO2. So essentially means the company, whatever CO2 emissions the company makes, they then neutralize their carbon footprint by buying certification that plants trees, wind turbines, all that good stuff. And then the third experiment was eliminating plastics in our waterway, because as great as it is that they're collecting water from waterways, it's still an issue that the water is being, the plastic is ending up in water streams. So the amount of new plastic makes its way into the ocean is about one garbage truck every minute. So this is obviously a huge amount of plastic ending up in our ocean. So cleaning plastic bottles out of waterways will never really be clear, because there's so much ending up there at any given minute. So as collecting and sorting of plastic is labour intensive, and there's no guarantee that the volunteers will continue to collect and clear washed up waste when the task feels never ending. Strategies of eliminating plastic from our oceans need to put in place. So the two plastics that are being found, so there's two types of plastics. So there's thermoset and thermoplastic. So the thermoplastic can be recycled and melted and remolded into new products, which is what twin wool is made out of. And then there's thermoset, which can't be melted and recycled, as is much heat as you apply to it, it just burns instead of being remolded. So you can't really recycle these plastics. So some of the objects made out of plastic are belts, toys, bracelets. So to begin the journey of reducing and eliminating plastics in our ocean, some of the strategies should be that we stop the production of all plastics made from thermoset, because they can't continue the life cycle of that plastic. Next would be making single-use plastics a thing of the past and stopping all production. So every day there are millions of plastic bottles discarded around the world, where they're often not recycled and end up in landfill or waterways. So implementing creative ways of recycling water bottles by coming up with a voting system where you vote with plastic bottles, so similar to what they've done here with the cigarette butts, having something like this next to garbage bins or in recycling bins that we have now, just inserting something inside and then splitting the vote would be something fun people can do. So although plastic in a health setting for hospitals is beneficial as it eliminates bacteria and contamination to equipment, medicine. So implementing deep research in sustainable materials that can do the same job as plastic. So this was the final image before and after, where I've added the terrazzo flooring and the twin wool fabric as well. And really the conclusion was, so this twin wool is a great textile made from plastic, and they give a new life for these once discarded plastics. Regardless of the fact that the company is doing its part, the problem of how these plastics are making their way into our water streams remains an issue without a clear solution. Since there is no real solution to this problem, companies should develop products that feature circular economy features. Textiles will not only save energy and time by being reused, but they can also help create a more sustainable product, since the energy that goes into textile production is significant. So the reuse of twin wool will further contribute to more sustainable product. And that's it.